From Anshe Sfard Beth El Emeth Congregation, it's time to take 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of Parashat Shelach. We are them. In our Parsha, we have a verse which serves as the basis for the whole idea of a Minyan, of 10 men constituting a quorum representing the entire people of Israel, constituting the Eidah, the congregation of Israel, just by virtue of having 10 people in a room. It's a Gemara in Megillah, it's a Talmudic passage in Megillah, that how do we know that you need 10 people for a Minyan? Because it says over here, you should be sanctified among the Jewish people. And that's a verse in Bamidbar 16. And it also says, in this week's Parsha, Yibadlu mitoch ha'edah azot. It also says in Korach that you should separate yourself from this evil congregation. Who's an Eidah? Who's a congregation? On this week's Parsha it says, Ad matai la'edah ra'ah azot. In this week's Parsha it says that how long can I suffer this terrible congregation? Who were the terrible congregation spoken about in our Parsha? Well, this Parsha is about the spies. It's about the 12 spies. But how many of them were bad? It says it was a bad congregation. Well, only 10 of them were bad. Yoshua and Kalev were very good. So therefore, the congregation, the bad congregation, refers to the 10 bad spies. So this is one source for the idea of a minyan. That's what the Gemara in Megillah says. However, there's a Yerushalmi. The Talmud Yerushalmi in Brachos has a different source. They say as follows, that the source that we need 10 men for a minyan is the idea that it says, Vayavo b'nei Yisrael yishbor b'toch habayim, that the children of Israel, that's actually the actual 10 sons of Yaakov, they came down to Egypt to look for wheat, to get wheat and food for the family, and they came b'toch habayim, they came among the people of Israel, among the people who came to collect for wheat. And just like over here, it says toch, it says among, it was 10. And in this week's Parsha, it says that, in Parshat Korach, it says that you should get out of the Eidah, out of the congregation. So what's a congregation? A congregation is the word toch, wherever the word among is used. And it says there in the story of Joseph, the word among is used with 10. So just like there were 10 brothers of Joseph who came to get Joseph, so too, and whenever you have a congregation, it has to be 10. There's a word link. These words are linked among the Jewish people, among the congregation, and the word among is used with Yosef's brothers. And Yosef's brothers, it's 10. Elsewhere, the word among the congregation is used. It must be that among what congregation? A congregation of 10. I'd like to share with you a thought from Rabbi Raphael Moshe Albaz, a Moroccan rabbi who lives in the 19th century. And he connected these two ideas, these two sources for minyan, through a very fascinating and mystical idea about this parsha. He says, these 10 tribes, these 10 spies in our parsha were very special. It says, Kulam anashim Masheh b'nei Yisrael hema. They are leaders of Israel. They are leaders of Israel. No, they're not. We know the names of the leaders of Israel. These are not the leaders. He says, but at this point, these people represented, they, from a spiritual point of view, they were perhaps the reincarnation of the 10 tribes of Israel. Which 10? The 10 who went down to Egypt to find Joseph to get wheat. And however, when these 10 spies sinned, they came vayelchu, vayavo. They went. He says they went. As they went and they sinned and they became bad spies, the spirit of the 10 tribes left them. Vayavo, the people who came back, were just plain people. They were no longer the great Rashei b'nei Israel, the great leaders of Israel. They no longer spiritually represented the 10 tribes of Israel. But Yoshua and Kalev, they had a different spirit, it says in our parsha. What does that mean? That Yoshua and Kalev retained that spirit of the forefathers. So who were they? Yoshua is not Yoshua, he's Ephraim, son of Yosef. And Kalev is not Kalev, he is Yehuda. So they maintain that spirit, they continue to live. They remained among those who had gone. Who went? Spiritual representatives of the tribes of Israel. Who came back? It came 10 plain people. They weren't representatives anymore. But these two, they still survived. Their extra spiritual existence survived as representatives of Ephraim and of Yehuda. They were actually the souls, so to speak, of Ephraim and Yehuda. So they remained true to who they were. So I'd like to suggest that what Rabbi Albaz is saying in his sefer called Eden Mikedim, what he's suggesting is that when you have a minyan, you take on the representatives, the spirit of the 10 tribes of Israel. The 10 tribes who were going to look for food, but also to look for their brother. And when a Jew is at a minyan, a Jew is looking for his brethren. He's praying on behalf, not just himself, but all the other brothers. You become like the 10 tribes. And this explains something else, says Rabbi Albaz. He says, why did Yosef, he says, Meraglim atem, you're spies. What do you mean? They weren't spies. They were getting food. Yosef was telling them a special secret, that one day you will be the spies. But unlike the 10 tribes of Israel were trying to reunite the Jewish people, these spies were trying to disconnect the Jewish people from their Torah, from their land, from God, from each other, create strife and dissonance among the Jewish people. In that sense, they had totally lost their mission. When a Jew stands in a minyan, when a Jew stands in a congregation of Israel, standing among the tribes of Israel, when a Jew is one of the 10 people who makes a minyan, you are Reuven, you're Shimon, you're Levi, you're Yehuda. You're part of the people who are the original sons of Israel. And when we say that the congregation is praying, it's not this congregation, not congregation, Anshe Sfar, Bethel Emeth, Sharei Shamayim, whatever congregation you're named after. That's not the congregation that's praying. It's actually the 10 souls of the 10 tribes of Israel. You represent those 10 tribes. Hopefully we can be like Yoshua and Kalev, who are able to inhere that spirit of these tribes, not like the other spies who lost that spirit. Now you might say, well, are we worthy of this task? So that's an interesting message of both the story of the spies and the story of the brothers. You don't have to be perfect to be part of the congregation of Israel. It's in our collective strength that we have that strength, that we have that power to be the congregation of Israel. These 10 spies were no great tzaddikim. They started out that way, but they didn't land out that way. So to each one of us, whatever our level may be of Judaism, spirituality, connectedness to God, we are worthy of being at least as good as the spies. We're worthy of trying to be the Shivtei Yisrael, Shivtei Ka, the tribes of God, the tribes of Israel. So as we stand in Minyan each day, as we stand together as a congregation, let us remember that if we merit, we have the possibility and the potential of actually being the tribes of Israel, and as such, being the congregation of Israel, and ultimately the congregation of God. Thank you for joining us here at the Anshe Sfar Beth Lemeth congregation for our discussion today. And please join us in future weeks, God willing, and look at our former archives of various types of classes we've had about the Parsha and the various holidays. I want to thank Jason Lefkowitz for making today's presentation possible, and we learn today and throughout the year. Zecher Nishmas, in memory of my father of blessed memory, of Reb Baruch, Reb Chaim Shmuel, Yehi Zichro Baruch, may his memory be a blessing. Thank you for joining us.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.